Welcome to the Daily Lectionary. Yesterday we considered Exodus 3, in which God appears to Moses in a burning bush and commands that Moses approach Pharaoh and say, "Let my people go." Now, God gives Moses Aaron, as Moses feels both unworthy and unable to do what God has tasked him to do. So in today's passage, we're in Exodus 5 and 6, and we see Moses and Aaron confront Pharaoh. And it goes about as well as we might imagine. Now remember, Pharaoh is understood to be the living embodiment of the Egyptian deity Ra. So he looks at these disheveled Hebrews with contempt. "Who is this Lord," he asks, "that I should do what he says and let these people go?" Moses and Aaron attempt nonviolently to explain what has happened to them, that God has appeared to them and sent them with a message to Pharaoh. But this message stokes the ire of the Egyptian king. And Moses further pokes the bear and asks for a 3-day weekend so that the Hebrew people can go to Mount Horeb and be with their God. Mount Horeb, of course, is where Moses first encounters God. But Pharaoh is not having any of it, and he sees Moses and Aaron as agitators. "Why are you taking the people away from the work?" he bellows. "Get to your labors." So Moses and Aaron initially approach Pharaoh with a request of peaceful and spiritual pilgrimage. And Pharaoh responds with the only language that he knows: oppressive, vindictive control aimed at crushing the spirits of the people. He is to be their only God, and he is a God of violence. So Pharaoh gathers his taskmasters and instructs them to no longer provide straw for brick building. Instead, those enslaved are to be responsible for gathering their own straw while still reaching the daily quota for producing bricks. The reason that he provides? Well, Pharaoh says they are lazy. Let heavier work be laid upon them. Then they will labor at it and pay no attention to deceptive words. Now, this is an attitude not unfamiliar to us. Today, the language of Pharaoh is repeated frequently in our society. Those who are poor are lazy. Vindictive requirements are heaped one upon the other, such that it is virtually impossible to get out of the cycle of poverty. A low minimum wage makes it such that millions of people must have 2, 3, or even more jobs in order to meet their most basic bills. People who work in fast food are ridiculed for working teenagers' jobs. They're prevented from unionizing. They can be fired for any reason, so many remain silent. They put their heads down and do the work, fearing that Pharaoh might take away what little life they have. Now, in every generation, there are those who cannot remain quiet, those who have big mouths. It's both a blessing and a curse to speak out against injustice. We see an example of this in Exodus 5. The Hebrew taskmasters confront Pharaoh, asking how he can expect those enslaved to complete this work without their proper tools. And I'm reminded of teachers who dig into their own shallow pockets to have enough supplies for their classrooms. Well, and Pharaoh responds, as we know pharaohs always do, with further accusations of laziness, and making it clear that he will not lessen the requirements, but he most certainly could increase them exponentially. So the Hebrew taskmasters recoil, but not against Pharaoh, against Moses and Aaron. And they blame Moses and Aaron for the terrible circumstances. Moses then turns on God, asking why God has mistreated God's people. And God responds with the promise of coming redemption, telling Moses to have faith and tell the people the same thing. This redemption is in the future, though. It's a tough message to convey to people who have a sandal or a boot on their neck. Living under Pharaoh means having to believe in a promise of a better future. Living under Pharaoh means that we cannot allow Pharaoh to oppress and divide us, to turn us one against the other. Life under Pharaoh is made of false promises, of trickle-down theology. Life under Pharaoh puts a higher value on some lives over others, while saying all lives matter. Life under Pharaoh protects those who enforce unjust laws, offering them immunity, allowing them to engage in summary executions in the guise of law and order. Life under Pharaoh seeks to push the God of justice to the side, requiring unwavering allegiance to one person, no matter how inept, how corrupt, and to value this person over the common good. Life under Pharaoh is now. Let us believe in the promise of deliverance, and let us believe that we can be God's agents, shining the light of justice into the darkest corners, and letting those who are oppressed know that they are the blessed of God. Amen.